Welcome everyone to this week's episode of Unrooted Men's Soccer Edition, and my guest for this week's show was none other than sophomore defender on the men's soccer team, Jose Fimbres. Jose, thanks so much for joining me on the show.
Pleasure to be here.
Let's start by getting to know you a little bit better. Last week, Noah Kerr and Trey Taniguchi kind of threw you under the bus a little bit. They said you would be most likely to make a Ron Burgundy-like mistake while giving a presentation.
Yeah.
Is this true?
I mean, I can see why they picked me. I mean, I may seem like a confident guy on the field, but when it comes to like things like this, like being on camera and like being interviewed, I get just real nervous and stuff. Like I just kind of choke sometimes. That
underwear trick doesn't help?
Yeah.
Picturing people in their underwear?
No, it doesn't. Nothing helps to me. It just doesn't.
Well, so far you're acing this test,
yeah,
so well done on that. We'll keep that up. You came to Menlo after spending a couple years at Evergreen College. Right away, you've been trusted here at Menlo as one of the team's best defensemen. Was that a tough adjustment for you right away from going from Evergreen to Menlo?
I mean, I guess you can say it was a really tough adjustment because like I was gonna work with a group of guys that I've never met before, and like just it was like a different whole program for me. Like it was from San Jose, moving over here to like the Bay Area is like kind of like difficult and stuff. So yeah, it was like a whole group of guys that I had to work with. It was kind of tough for me because like I didn't know anyone coming over here. The only guy I knew was Fernando, which he transferred here with me. So it was like kind of difficult, and then I had to play under new style formation, which was like really like something I didn't understand at first. Like I had like the first couple practices, I had to like trouble like trying to like adjust with the team, especially because like I wasn't eligible like the first couple weeks, so I couldn't play with the team. So it was really hard for me having to come over here.
Yeah, but you know, so far it's been showing on the field, and once you've been on the field, I've mentioned it on a few shows before, you're one of the more offensive-minded defenders that you guys have because you've scored 3 times already this year. Is that a mindset thing, or where does that ability come from?
I mean, I guess you can say it was kind of like an ability thing because like when I started playing soccer as a kid, I was put in as a forward, like just because like I was so big and stuff. And then as I was growing up, I just love scoring goals and stuff. So as I went to my high school coach decided to put me as a defender because of my height, and he thought I was real big, and then he thought I would make a good defender. So ever since then, I went up to community college at Evergreen, and the coach there also put me as a defender. So ever since then, that was like my primary position, and I kind of like getting into attackers' mindsets and like prevent them from scoring.
Yeah, but you have the versatility and the comfort level, of course, to play really wherever you need to on the field. Now let's talk a little bit about the team. Last week there was a very wide range of emotions for you guys. First, Menlo took down the Masters University on Thursday. Eric Hegman scored twice in that game, but have you ever seen anyone score a goal 12 seconds into a match like Eric did?
I mean, things like this, like I've never experienced it before. Like I only see these like in YouTube videos. Like, something like this never happens, and like the fact that I was able to experience him, be on that team where we scored 12 seconds into the game, it was just like an unbelievable feeling for me.
It was pretty crazy for me too, because I'm doing the broadcast on the Menlo College Sports Network, and I'm reading my pregame introduction right as you guys kick off, and I'm halfway through it, and I look upfield towards the corner, and Eric Hegman shooting one in the net. I don't even get a chance to really begin the broadcast. We already got a goal.
I was watching
it was absolutely remarkable to see. And then in that game, of course, Juan Mendoza made his first collegiate start. He started all weekend, and he picked up the win in that game against the Mustangs. He really seemed prepared to take over. What were your thoughts from his week of play?
I mean, I'm happy for Juan. Like, he's a senior. Like, I feel like he deserves to be in the starting spot. Like, he's a really like good keeper. Like, I'm happy for him that he got to step up in the last 2 games. And I think he made a huge impact on the past 2 games. Like, he made a really good saves and stuff, so I'm happy for him.
And there was also the loss to Westmont. He played very solid in that game as well. Gave you guys a chance to win. Westmont receiving votes in the latest NAIA coaches poll. You guys take the lead late. They tie it later. And then you lose on a penalty kick. Has there been a game this year for you guys that has had so many different swings in emotion, where you go from high to low to, hey, we're playing them well in overtime, to then, we lose on a penalty kick?
I mean, I guess you can say like this is probably the most intense game I've been in like the whole season. Like there have been a lot of intense games, but by far this one has to be the most intense, just because the fact that we received 2 red cards in the last like 5 minutes of regulation. So it was pretty like, it was motions flying out everywhere. It was just really intense. And
still hung in there and almost forced a draw after being 2 guys down for 15 minutes. Exactly. That would have been remarkable. Yeah. Now, Menlo has officially secured a playoff spot. That means you guys have a chance to defend your GSAC title from 1 year ago. Has there been any conversation about that amongst you guys?
I mean, throughout the season, our priority was to make playoffs. Like, we're not really happy of what seed we're in, but I mean, we got to work with what we got, so we got to make the best out of it. And hopefully, like, we go far in the playoffs of GSAC.
Of course, you're hoping to get your first crack at a GSAC title as well, since you weren't here during last year's run. Now, the game this weekend, quite important against William Jessup. A win gives you the opportunity to clinch the 5th seed potentially and move up 1 spot in the standings. What is it going to take to beat the Warriors this time around? Because you guys lost to them last time.
I feel like nothing got to change between like our team, personally. I think just the fact that we have to like bring up our intensity level higher, so that the fact that, because when we went up against William Jessup the first time, we didn't really see him as a strong opposition. So like we kind of just like, oh, like we got this in the bag. So like we weren't really like thinking about it that much. But now that as the game was going through, like we're like actually pretty much saying that these guys aren't that bad. Like they're not a bad team, so we got to step it up. But it was too late for that. So now, like, hopefully on this Saturday, we bring up the intensity level high to them. And it's going to be good, too, because we're going to be home. So it's going to be good to play against them.
You'll be at home, Oktoberfest, Senior Day. There's going to be a lot of people out there. So it's going to be a great kind of playoff-like atmosphere for you guys. But a lot of the guys who were on the team last season, they know what that's like. I'm sure they can help you guys obviously push through, and hopefully we'll see a pretty good game on Saturday. All right, Jose, let's get into the final segment of the show. It's called Brownie Bites. I'm going to ask you 3 random off-the-wall questions. You give me your best answer. Question number 1. If you're the worst at giving presentations, which teammate's the best?
I'd have to say Evan Snodgrass, just because I've actually had him at a presentation before in my class. We were kind of like nervous. We didn't really prepare for it. And the day of the presentation, we were kind of winging it. And as soon as like I didn't have anything to say, like I was kind of stuck, I just looked at Evan and he would just wing it, and like he would make a good presentation. So it was just like real good. And we got a good grade on it.
I was going to say, I don't think your professors want to hear that you were just winging it. I think they want to hear you guys were preparing for it for a while, right? As opposed to, oh, we didn't.
Yeah, the fact that we're just traveling a lot, and like literally our whole group was like all soccer players, so we didn't have much time to practice on it. So it's just like,
sometimes I don't know how you guys do it.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Question number 2. If you could pick any teammate to join you on a safari, who would you pick and why?
I kind of had trouble picking between, because I had 2 guys in mind. The first one would be Fernando, my roommate. Just the fact that we would have so much fun like being stuck in a safari. But then again, if I was talking about like, if I was thinking like I wanted to survive, I don't think he'd be the best one to be in that situation with. And then the other guy was Alex Avila. I just think he's like the brains in the team. Like I feel like he'll prevent me from doing dumb things, like from going into the cave like he mentioned before. So I think he would help me out and stuff.
So when you think of safari, you're thinking it could go horribly wrong and you're going to have to survive. So you're putting a completely different twist on that that I even didn't consider. Question number 3. Since you are from San Jose, right, where the Earthquakes play, and they just clinched a playoff spot, which teammate would be most likely to splurge on Earthquakes playoff tickets?
I feel like if anyone, I would have to pick Rory. Just the fact that he's a big USA fan and he's willing to like spend money on like any type of USA gear. And I feel like if he would get involved into the San Jose Earthquakes in the playoffs, I feel like he'd be the one to splurge off the tickets for this.
Certainly an exciting time for the Earthquakes. First playoff berth since 2012. First at the new Avaya Stadium.
That's good.
Looking pretty good for San Jose. Jose, thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Folks, final game of the regular season for Menlo College men's soccer. It is coming up on Saturday as a part of Oktoberfest, and it will be senior day for the Oaks. Menlo College will be honoring all of their seniors Saturday, September 28th at Wunderlich Field. Kickoff for the game 11 o'clock a.m. with pregame festivities to honor those Menlo College seniors. And then the GSAC playoffs will be taking place afterwards. Opening round will be on November 4th. Well, Jose is the last interviewee on Unrooted Men's Soccer Edition for the 2017 season. We thank you so much for tuning in all year long. And don't forget to tune in to all the other exciting episodes that will be taking place here in a couple of weeks when we get Unrooted Men's and Women's Basketball and Unrooted Wrestling Edition. So until then, we'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.